Manchester United spring to mind today. They go out the FA Cup the other night. I thought they would win against Leicester, but they didn't. Leicester went through. All credit to Leicester City. But we noticed with interest that Manchester United have signed a new 5-year shirt sponsorship deal with a German technology company, TeamViewer. It's one of the biggest endorsement contracts in world football. It's being suggested the deal's worth about 55 million euros a year. Falls short, actually, curiously, of the 559 million 7-year deal that it had with Chevrolet. But it made me think, United falling there in the FA Cup, will they always be a successful commercial giant? Whatever happens on the pitch, will United always be a successful commercial giant? Can on-field performances ever make that name synonymous around the world fade, is what I'm asking you.
Depends how big the deterioration is. If did I just catch you right to say that Chevrolet paid 550 million for 7 years?
Yep, 559 million, 7-year deal.
Sterling.
US dollars.
Right, so about 400 million then.
Right,
so it's comparable, isn't it? So if you look at it and say a 5-year deal on this one at 235 million pounds, and a 7-year deal would be comparable, wouldn't it?
You are a walking calculator.
No,
you know
sorry,
that.
I'm just because I was thinking to myself, actually, I can lead into this by saying, here you go, here's your own argument. Yeah. They're actually devaluing their own concept because they're going down. Well, they're not really, because there's a small reduction by comparison. But look, United, the one thing you can't say is that Ed Woodward doesn't keep delivering on the commercial side of the operation to keep the Glazers happy with his performance on one side of the business. The other side, which is the real driver of the business, well, Man United are second in the Premier League. Whatever I may or may not think about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they've been at the business end of every aspect of football this season. Right? They've been at the quarterfinals of the Cup. Okay, they've lost it, right? Which was my prediction. They've got the next round of the Europa League. They've knocked out the Champions League, but they were involved in it. They're in the Europa League and expected to win it now. They're in second in the Premier League, and they've had a decent run in the other cup. So with all those things in mind, it keeps Manchester United at the front of the queue. They're still perceived by your Gotti mob over at Sky. Just to
you've got back. All right, the goodwill's gone.
As one of the biggest draws for broadcasters.
Right.
So when you look at it and say, eyes on the prize, what do broadcasters pay for? They pay for eyeballs, and eyeballs around the world are what Man United get. Now, if their performance dropped to, say, a level where they were the Man United of the 70s, they wouldn't demand and command the same prestige. But the Man United of the 70s and 80s re-emerged to the Man United of the 90s, and it didn't stop them from being a powerhouse despite 20 years of being asleep at the wheel.
Well, exactly. And are they on their own in having that power at all times? It seems they can wield it whenever they like.
I've always felt... I mean, I just listened to Peter Kenyon telling the world how wonderful he was at doing deals at Man United, but which I always thought was very easy when people like Vodafone were walking in saying, here's a cheque. That's not doing a deal, that's accepting a cheque. United are in the ideal position where they are a much sought after brand. They're recognised. When you close your eyes and think of Manchester United, you think of Manchester United, the iconic Man United. You think of the achievements they've had over the last 30 years, and you think of the sadness of the Busby Babes, but you think of George Best and Dennis Law. You don't think about them getting relegated in 1973 or 74, whenever it was. You think about them lifting...
When Dennis scored the goal.
When Dennis scored the goal for Man City. You don't think of that. You think of Man United being the poster boys of what football has become. The revolution economically that football became started with Sky, and Man United were the poster boys for it. And they're going to have to do a hell of a lot to diminish that. Yeah. They're doing their best at times, but I don't think they're in a situation where they've diminished it and they won't, and where they've knocked the commercial value out. And this is proving it to be the case when they're able to achieve. And I know TeamViewer is a business. I know why they'd want to do this, because it's access to eyeballs, and their business is all about eyeballs. So with the greatest will in the world, you can see why they do it. But as far as worldwide support bases, I don't think there's any more than Man United have got. Madrid might be up there, and Barcelona might be up there. But
I mean, it's getting on for a decade that United haven't won the title.
Well, it shows you the draw.
There's still this draw.
It shows you the draw. It shows you the influence. You know, you look at other businesses that are around the world that have the emotivity that Apples of the world, they invoke an emotivity. United as a brand, not as a financial powerhouse, but as a brand, are up there with recognisability with Apple, and people will pay for that. They'll pay for that. But of course, underpinning it has to be a reasonable level of attainment.